After 15 long years, an incredible delivery woman revealed the heartwarming love hidden within a bakery's walls. In Maple Grove, everyone knew Sarah, a delivery woman with a laugh that could brighten the heaviest of days. She navigated the sleepy streets, her old delivery van packed tight with packages and groceries, delivering not just goods, but a little sprinkle of joy too. For 15 long years, she served her community quietly, an unsung hero often overlooked by the very people she supported. As a single mother raising her spirited 10-year-old daughter, Emma, Sarah epitomized American perseverance. Working through the economic struggles that dimmed the town's soul. It was early morning, the sun peeking through the clouds as the sweet scent of fresh pastries wafted from Mr. Thompson's bakery. The town's heartbeat. Every morning, the sound of the front door chimed as neighbors filed in, united by the warmth of hot coffee and golden croissants. Mr. Thompson, with twinkling eyes and stories that wove through generations, became a mentor to Sarah, teaching her that the simplest things could hold the deepest meanings. But everything changed when whispers about debts threatened the bakery's closure began to circulate. Panic rippled through the townsfolk. The bakery was not merely a place to buy bread. It was a cornerstone of community, a tapestry of shared moments. With her heart heavy, Sarah's mind raced back to her mother, who had often dreamed of culinary success and community warmth. "We can't let it die," she thought, and a spark ignited within her. Determined, Sarah initiated a bake sale to rally the town around their beloved bakery. She devoured every ounce of courage as she stepped into the community hall, ready to ignite hope. Yet, skepticism clouded the air. "She's just a delivery woman," some muttered, dismissing her. The negativity stung, but fueled her resolve. Each insult felt like a challenge, but she stood firm, reminding herself that she was fighting for more than just pastries. She was fighting for memories, for connection, for a sense of belonging. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As she partnered with Mr. Thompson, his face lined with years of love and loss, Sarah learned of his late wife, Mabel, whose spirit still lingered in the recipes passed down like cherished heirlooms. Each baked good held their legacy, a promise that brought comfort, connection, and joy. Days turned into nights as they tirelessly baked, and camaraderie began to rebuild, slowly stitching back the town's frayed edges. But as the bake sale approached, doubt crept in. Insults and hidden agendas darkened the mood. With every obstacle, Sarah faced moments of despair, a tight chest and tears threatening to break free. But the thought of Emma's smile anchored her in purpose. Their dreams relied on this bakery staying open. Then came a twist, a potential inheritance that could save everything but also shift the power dynamics of the town. With hearts beating fast, clash and confusion settled over Maple Grove. Would they embrace this change, or would comfortable old ways continue to smother their growth? The bake sale loomed ahead, a final chance to unite and face the barriers that separated them all. Would the community rise together, or would they crumble under the weight of prejudice? The answer hung in the air, tinged with hope and uncertainty, echoed by the chime of the bakery door waiting to open its heart once more. The bake sale dawned clear and bright, with the sun spilling its warmth across Maple Grove. Sarah stood in front of the community hall, the air around her buzzing with anticipation. Tables were set up, decorated with bright tablecloths, and each surface was laden with countless baked goods, their sugary richness capturing the heart of anyone passing by. Croissants gleamed like golden treasures, cakes towered in colorful layers, and cookies were arranged in mouth-watering displays. Emma dashed between the tables, her laughter ringing out like a fragrant breeze that carried hopes and dreams. She had been Sarah's cheerleader, her little hands helping to mix batter and shape dough. Now, wearing a cute apron that Mr. Thompson had gifted her, she held a small sign proudly that read, "Save the Bakery." But as Sarah glanced around, her heart sank a little. A number of townsfolk milled about, chatting, but skepticism still lingered in the air. Some looked on with closed faces, whispering among themselves, recalling the same doubts and worries that had clouded Sarah's earlier plans. Every muffled laugh, every soft sigh of disbelief seemed to amplify the weight of their collective uncertainty. "Hey, Mom, can we start yet?" Emma called, her eyes sparkling with eagerness. With a smile through her nerves, Sarah turned to her daughter. "In just a moment, sweetheart. Let us give everyone a chance to see what we've prepared." Each small voice in the crowd felt like a challenge, but Sarah remembered the spark inside her. The reason she had fought to bring this day to life. It wasn't just about sweet treats. It was about breathing life back into the town's spirit. "Let us get started," Sarah called, raising her voice to capture attention. "Welcome, everyone. Today, we come together not just to enjoy these baked goods, but to save the heart of our community. Every purchase helps save Mr. Thompson's bakery. Let us keep our stories alive." Slowly, heads turned. Some folks hesitated, brows furrowed in thought, while others stepped forward, curiosity piqued. A few brave souls approached the tables, picking up a cookie or two. Sarah's heart swelled. She watched Emma dance from customer to customer, sharing her own delight in every morsel. Then there were the familiar faces, neighbors who had fought through the thick and thin of life's struggles right alongside her, gathering courage to back this effort. But just as a hopeful wave swept through, the door creaked open. A newcomer strolled in with an air of authority. He was a businessman sent to represent the interests of the town's wealthiest, someone who could sway opinions with just a whisper. Hadn't Sarah caught a glimpse of him in town meetings? She felt her stomach clench. "Are you here to support us?" she asked, forcing her voice steady. His cold eyes scanned the tables, filled with homemade delights and community spirit, and a smirk twisted his lips. "I don't believe in charity cases," he replied. His words sunk like stones, rippling through the crowd. Gasps erupted around the hall. Murmurings of support began to flow, but Sarah felt her pulse race, a looming fear locking her in place. "Just because you can't see the value in these people doesn't mean they don't deserve it," Sarah managed to say, finding her voice like a lifeline amidst chaos, echoing with the hopes of everyone who believed in community. "What's this?" he taunted, turning the crowd against them. "A bake sale to save a bakery? Seems desperate." The tension rose, each second stretching longer, as everyone seemed to hold their breath. Sarah's heart hammered painfully. Doubt had crept back in, like a shadow her courage had fought so hard to push away. But what she didn't expect was for Emma, innocent yet strong, to step forward, wrapping her small hands around Sarah's waist. "My mom believes in love and community. Isn't that worth something?" In that moment, Sarah felt the swell of support from the townsfolk surrounding them, and determination ignited in her heart. They had come too far to let one man's words break them. The fate of the bakery rested on their shoulders. Would the town stand together this time, or would they falter? As the bake sale stretched on, whispers turned into fervor, and secret agendas threatened to unravel. Sarah braced herself for what lay ahead. The battle for Maple Grove had only just begun, and her heart raced with the weight of the challenge to come. Would they stand together, or would they let fear dictate their fates? Back in the community hall, the air thickened with tension. Sarah felt like she was standing at the edge of a cliff, ready to either soar or plummet, depending on how the townsfolk reacted. Emma's innocent declaration seemed to break the spell of hesitation hanging over them. Eyes that had been clouded with doubt brightened with newfound resolve. A murmur rippled through the crowd, edging toward a chorus of support. "What do we have to lose?" someone called out. Sarah's heart lifted as a man in a plaid shirt picked up a cupcake from the table, sneaking a taste as he grinned. "Yeah, I want to save the bakery," shouted another voice, and as if a dam had burst, more townsfolk stepped forward, one by one, each grabbing something sweet and placing their dollar bills onto the table like a holy offering. The more they bought, the more a sense of camaraderie blossomed, flickering like the flame of a candle against the man's disdainful presence. Sarah met the newcomer's gaze, feeling a pulse of bravery within her. "This is proof of community," she declared, her voice cutting through his judgment. "People want to come together to support each other. This isn't a charity, it's a love letter to our town." A silence fell, hanging heavy for just a moment before a soft round of applause broke out, led by Mrs. Davis from across the street, her face a mask of maternal pride. The man recoiled, trying to regain control of the narrative, but it was slipping right through his fingers. "We need Mr. Thompson's bakery," Mrs. Davis spoke up, her voice steady. "He taught us how to bake but also how to care for one another. Without him, we lose more than pastries, we lose our history. We can't let Maple Grove become just another place on the map," someone shouted. The room erupted into cheers, voices overlapping in a stunning display of unity that made Sarah's heart soar. Emma squeezed her mom tighter, radiating pride. "See, Mom, they believe." But the stranger's air of superiority wouldn't go quietly. He straightened his posture, scanning the crowd for the doubters, his voice laced with condescension. "You really think this is going to change anything? One bake sale." In the velvet silence that followed, Sarah felt a wave of adrenaline. "It's not just about today," she replied, pushing past her nerves. "It's about showing that we won't give up. We're stronger as a community than any money can represent." The townsfolk rallied behind her words, forming a human wall against the negativity. They stood tall and resolute, bearing the weight of their own hopes. Each face around her bore not just determination but that unmistakable glint of belief, a belief in something greater than themselves. And just when Sarah thought they had turned the corner, the unexpected happened. A young woman, once a shy member of the town, stepped up with her phone in hand. "Can I record this moment? Let the world see how we're fighting for Maple Grove." "Please do," Sarah yelled, feeling a swell in her chest that demanded to be shared. The room leaned in closer, their phones raised like banners of hope. The energy buzzed through the hall, and Sarah felt unstoppable. But she also felt the weight of what was to come. The man's smirk faded slowly, replaced by something resembling concern. As they recorded their triumph, Sarah spotted Mr. Thompson's old apron hung on the wall, tucked away with memories. What would he think? Would he believe they were strong enough to carry on without him? In the flurry of excitement, Sarah made a silent vow. They were fighting not just for sweets, but for the spirit of Maple Grove. As the crowd cheered and shared in this moment, Sarah's gaze flickered toward the door. The man stood there, uncertain, but for how long? She could sense the stakes rising. This was just the beginning. What would happen if they failed? Or worse, if he tried to dismantle their efforts? Hold on, she thought, a lingering worry forming within her. Could this just be the calm before the storm? As the crowd continued to celebrate, all Sarah could do was brace for the next wave of challenges that lay ahead. Would their newfound strength be enough to withstand the scrutiny coming their way? The cheers faded slowly, leaving only the echo of hopeful voices. As the crowd began to disperse with cupcakes in hand and smiles everywhere, Sarah felt a knot in her stomach. Was it excitement? Anxiety? Perhaps both. She glanced at Emma, who was already chatting with Mrs. Davis about school and baking techniques. The joy on her daughter's face reminded Sarah of why she was fighting so hard. "Mom, can we bake something when we get home?" Emma asked, her eyes wide with enthusiasm. "We could make Mr. Thompson's famous blueberry muffins." "Absolutely, love," Sarah replied, managing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. That knot tightened again. They needed to do more than just bake. They needed to rally, to plan, to bring the whole town together. This was just one bake sale. As they gathered their things, Sarah noticed the man in the plaid shirt leaning against the wall, arms crossed, still watching. The hint of doubt on his face had been replaced by contemplation. She couldn't shake the feeling that he wasn't done yet. With each step towards the exit, she fought the urge to confront him, to demand answers. Instead, she led Emma outside, where the sun warmed her face. The smell of freshly baked goods hung in the air, and the sound of laughter surrounded them. This was home. As they crossed the threshold, Mrs. Davis joined them, sharing her excitement. You should organize more events. This was amazing, Sarah. We will, Sarah said confidently, though part of her felt a chill at the thought of the hard work that lay ahead. As they walked down Main Street, Emma tugged at her sleeve. Mom, do you think people will keep believing in us? Sarah looked down at her daughter, the weight of her own uncertainty reflected in Emma's innocent question. Of course they will. When people come together like this, it means something. But as Sarah spoke, she couldn't help but picture the stranger's dismissive demeanor, the way he had scoffed at their efforts. What if he was right? What if a single bake sale wouldn't lead to anything substantial? That evening, while Emma poured flour into a bowl, Sarah found herself distracted. Thoughts swirled in her mind like the batter in the mixing bowl. They needed a solid plan. A voice in the back of her head whispered that if they truly wanted to save the bakery, they'd have to be ready for a showdown against those who believed they were fighting a losing battle. As Emma giggled over a mishap with a bag of sugar, Sarah couldn't help but smile, but it faded quickly. If this man challenged their efforts publicly, it could dismantle everything they built today. Mom, can you help me find the recipe? Emma chirped, pulling Sarah from her spiraling thoughts. Yeah, let us do that. They continued baking, flour floating in the air, the warm smell of sugar filling the kitchen. Despite the laughter, Sarah's heart was heavy as she kept thinking how this was merely a tiny step in a much bigger fight. Just as they finished, a knock echoed through the house. Sarah's skin prickled with concern as she wiped her hands on her apron. Who could it be? She opened the door cautiously, and her heart dropped at the sight. It was the man from earlier, the uncertainty in his eyes now replaced with a fierce determination. We need to talk, he said, and the world around Sarah shifted. At that moment, she felt the weight of the struggle they were about to face. What could he possibly want? Did he come to help? Or was he here to threaten their hopes? The air hung heavy with anticipation as Sarah stepped aside, allowing him into the warm glow of their home. She suddenly felt vulnerable. What did he know that could turn the tide against them? As the door closed behind him, the stakes rose again. What lay ahead would determine not just the fate of the bakery, but perhaps the very soul of Maple Grove itself. Could she protect both her town and her family? Sarah took a deep breath, ready to face whatever challenge was coming. But the question lingered in her mind: would this stranger reveal a new path forward, or unravel everything they had built? Sarah's heart raced, the man's presence filling the small room like an unwelcome storm cloud. She studied him, searching for the flicker of malice behind his well-groomed beard, but all she found was resolve. What do you want to talk about? She managed to ask, her voice steady despite the cacophony of nerves dancing in her stomach. I'm here about the bakery, he said, his tone serious. My name's Jake. I've seen what you're trying to do, and I want to help. Help? Sarah echoed, skepticism creeping in. Why should I trust you? I get it. I really do, he said, his expression softening. But this town means a lot to me. I grew up here before moving away, and I hate to see it losing its charm. Your bakery is part of what makes this place special. Emma, sensing her mother's hesitance, peeked from behind Sarah's leg, curiosity bright in her young eyes. The tension hung like thick fog, smothering the comfort of their kitchen. Jake stepped forward, lowering his voice. I know how to organize community events. Fundraisers, festivals, bake-offs, whatever it takes to spread the word and draw people in. A bakery can't thrive in isolation. You need the town behind you. Sarah's mind swirled, weighing his words against the worry that nagged at her soul. But what if it doesn't work? She asked, vulnerability spilling into her tone. What if we fail? Then we try again, Jake replied, determination clear in his eyes. You already took the first step with that bake sale. You brought the community together. We just need to build on that. Together. A flicker of hope ignited inside Sarah, mixed with fear. She imagined the townsfolk, smiling and laughing amidst tables filled with baked goods, the sweet scent mingling with cheerful chatter. Could this be the key to saving not just her bakery but the bond of the community? Emma finally stepped forward, her small hand reaching for Sarah's. Mom, I think we should do it. Her innocence shone through, brightening the heavy air between them. Jake glanced at Emma, smiling gently. I promise we'll make it worth your while. I've got some ideas already brewing. Sarah hesitated, torn between her instinct to protect and the glimmer of possibility at her fingertips. Okay, she breathed, a mixture of trepidation and excitement flooding through her. What's your plan? Jake's grin widened like a burst of sunlight breaking through the clouds. First thing, we can do a bake-off to showcase your goods. But we need to spread the word, social media, posters, maybe even a contest. It'll get people excited. As they began planning, Sarah felt a weight lift. She realized the fear wasn't defeating her. It was inviting growth. She was no longer alone in this fight. With Emma and Jake by her side, they could make something beautiful happen. Hours later, Sarah sank onto the couch, exhausted but elated. Emma curled up beside her, excitement still dancing in her eyes. Think people will really come? They will, Sarah replied, pulling her daughter closer. For the first time in a while, she believed it. Something was shifting in Maple Grove, something that could breathe life back into the bakery. But just as Sarah began to dream of what could be, a notification flashed on her phone, a message from a town council member. We need to talk about the bakery, it read. Her heart dropped, the weight of reality crashing back down. What could this mean? Sarah exchanged a worried glance with Emma, who still clutched a cookie covered in flour. They can't come after us again, right? I don't know. Sweetheart, Sarah whispered, the knot in her stomach tightening once more. One challenge pushed aside, another loomed larger on the horizon. Would this council member support their efforts? Or was he yet another barrier in the fight to save everything she cherished? With uncertainty swirling in her mind, Sarah knew she had to find out. The stakes were higher than ever, and they were just getting started. What would they face next? Sarah stared at the glowing screen, her fingers hovering above the keyboard as she considered her response. The message was brief, but the weight of it felt enormous. She took a deep breath, the scent of warm cookies still filling the air from earlier baking adventures with Emma. Maybe it's just a routine check, she said, trying to reassure herself. They might just want to know how the bake sale went. Emma, still perched beside her, clutched the remnants of a half-eaten cookie like a lifeline. But what if they don't like it? What if they don't let you keep the bakery? A lump formed in Sarah's throat. The bakery wasn't just a business. It was a piece of her heart. It was built on the dreams of her late husband and the memories they had created together. She had to fight for it. But how much more could she take? I'll respond, Sarah said, surprised at the confidence that flickered within her. I can't let fear decide for me. After a few moments of hesitation, she typed out a quick reply. I'm available tomorrow afternoon. Let me know what time works for you. She hit send, but the moment the notification disappeared, her stomach twisted. What if this meeting led to more bad news? You're going to be just fine, Mom, Emma assured her, patting her hand. You have Jake and me right here. They had managed to finish their plans for the bake-off, marking a huge step toward revitalizing their little venture. But deep down, the shadow of the town council loomed larger than any of their ambitions. The next morning came too soon. Sarah woke, her heart still racing from last night's anxieties. Emma had drawn her some pictures of their dream bakery, full of colors and laughter, images she could cling to while navigating the uncertainty. Mom, can I help make the flyer for the bake-off? Emma asked, her cheeks flushed with excitement. Sarah smiled, the nervous energy within her softening. Absolutely. Let us make it the best flyer Maple Grove has ever seen. As they worked together, cutting and gluing with precision, Emma's enthusiasm was infectious. It allowed Sarah to focus on something joyful rather than the impending meeting. Just then, there was a knock on the door. It was Jake, holding a stack of colorful markers and an idea book filled with sketches for their future events. Thought I'd swing by and see how everything's coming along, he said, leaning in the doorway, his warm smile igniting a spark of hope in her heart. We're making a flyer for the bake-off, Emma exclaimed, dragging Jake into the living room. Want to help? They spent the morning creating something beautiful, combining their hopes and passions into art. Laughter echoed through the kitchen, a sweet reminder that, amid uncertainty, there was still light to be found. Later that afternoon, Sarah's phone buzzed, slicing through the joyful atmosphere like a knife. She took a breath and glanced at the notification. Meeting in 30 minutes. Panic surged, tightening her chest, but she pushed through. Hey, I'll be back soon. Just have to run a quick errand, Sarah said, forcing a smile for Emma and Jake. We'll be here, Jake offered, and we'll be waiting for the good news. Every step toward the car felt heavy with fear and doubt. As she drove, memories flooded her mind, the laughter of customers, the joy of baking, and Emma's happy chatter. The bakery had been their sanctuary, their hope. Upon arriving at the town hall, she felt the weight of her decision pressing down like a lead blanket. What if this meeting changed everything? Or worse, what if it didn't? With her heart pounding and courage barely holding together, Sarah walked through the doors. She was met by the stern face of the councilman, who was flipping through a folder filled with papers. Ms. Blake, he said, not looking up, we need to discuss your bakery. Before he could continue, Sarah summoned every ounce of bravery she had. I have to tell you about our plans. The bake-off, the community events. He finally looked up, eyebrow raised, and for a split second, Sarah thought she saw a flicker of interest. But then the weight of the moment pressed down again, the question hanging in the air. Would he support her, or would this be the end of everything she had fought for? Heart racing, she braced herself. What decision would he make? The councilman cleared his throat, folding his arms as he leaned back in his chair. The room seemed to shrink around Sarah, walls closing in with every passing second of silence. Ms. Blake, your bakery has been a staple in Maple Grove for years, he began. His tone clipped, a flicker of hope sparked inside her. Maybe this was a good sign. But as he continued, that hope began to waver. However, he added, his brow furrowing, the recent decline in sales and the complaints about the building's condition from neighboring businesses are serious concerns we cannot ignore. Sarah's heart sank like a stone. She felt every letter of his words weigh heavily against her chest. But the bake-off, it's our chance to bring the community together, she protested, her voice trembling. We're already planning events that will draw people in. The councilman's expression softened, but only slightly. I appreciate your enthusiasm, Ms. Blake. I really do. But we need to see a solid plan, a way to prove that the bakery can survive and thrive. We can't just go on hopes and dreams alone. For a moment, the room swayed around her. Dreams. They were all she had left. Sarah thought of Emma, of the bright flyers they had just created, filled with images of cookies, cupcakes, and laughter. What if I show you our plan? The bake-off, community classes, all of it? He narrowed his eyes slightly. You have 3 months to present a comprehensive proposal, Ms. Blake. Proof that you can not only maintain but grow your business. If it's compelling enough, we might discuss giving you a chance to stay. 3 months. A ticking clock that felt like a countdown to disaster or redemption. I will, she said forcefully, surprising herself with the strength behind her words. I'll turn this bakery around. Promise. As she left the building, determination surged through her veins, pushing back the uncertainty. She could do this. She had to do this not just for herself, but for Emma and the memory of her husband. They would fight together as a family. When she arrived home, Sarah was met by Emma's eager face, anxiously awaiting news. What did he say, Mom? With a tight smile, Sarah knelt down to meet her daughter's sparkly eyes. Well, we have a challenge ahead of us, but we've got a plan. We're going to make the bake-off a success and show the town just how special our bakery is. Yay, I can help, right? Emma jumped, her excitement infectious. Of course you can. We're in this together. As they sat down at the kitchen table, Sarah felt the spark of joy return as they began brainstorming ideas, laughter filling the room again. They planned themed days, special treats, and community outreach. Every idea brought them closer to a shared vision, a dream that was indeed bigger than fear. The days rolled on, and with each approaching moment of the bake-off, Sarah found herself stepping deeper into an unknown world, a challenge she never expected but was ready to embrace. One evening, while prepping a new cookie recipe, Sarah received a message from Jake. "You're doing amazing things. Let me know if you need help with anything this week." She smiled, grateful for his support. Soon, the bake-off was upon them. The community buzzed with anticipation, and every day felt like an adventure full of promise. But as they set up for the event, doubts began to crawl back into Sarah's mind. Would it be enough? Would the town rally behind her? And then, in that moment of preparation, a flash of inspiration struck. If she could invite local stories into the bakery, something deeper could emerge, connecting hearts not just through dough but through shared life moments. With a sudden excitement, she turned to Emma. "What if we invite the town to share their favorite recipes? A community cookbook to celebrate everyone's history?" Emma's eyes lit up. "Yes, that would be so cool. Everyone loves recipes. We should call it Maple Grove Memories," Sarah exclaimed, and they both laughed as they raced to finalize plans. The event was almost here. But in the back of Sarah's mind lingered another thought: the town council's approval still loomed and would shake things if the expectations weren't met. What if this bake-off, the heart of their plans, didn't go well? That night, as she lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, Sarah realized it was no longer just about her bakery. They were on the brink of discovering not just a recipe for success, but a way to gather souls and rekindle connections. As she drifted to sleep, questions lingered in the air. Could a bake-off really save her bakery? And more importantly, would this community rally behind her? Or would she discover how fragile hope could be? As the sun rose over Maple Grove, Sarah felt the weight of her new purpose settle on her shoulders. She brewed a pot of coffee, savoring the rich aroma that filled the air. This was the fuel she needed to face what lay ahead. She glanced at Emma, still curled up in a blanket on the couch, sleeping soundly. The sight tugged at something deep inside her, reminding her why this all mattered. They had a busy day ahead, a final push to prepare for the bake-off. Sarah gently roused Emma, her daughter's sleepy smile making her heart swell. "Rise and shine, cupcake. We've got a big day." With playful groans, Emma sat up and stretched. "Are we making more cookies?" "Absolutely. And we need to gather those local recipes for our cookbook," Sarah replied, her excitement buoying her spirits. After a quick breakfast, they donned matching aprons, a gleeful mess of flour and chocolate frosting taking over their kitchen. Each cookie they baked, each recipe they collected, felt like a step closer to creating something beautiful not just for themselves, but for everyone else in town. At midday, they headed out to mingle with local businesses and neighbors, armed with flyers for the bake-off. As they approached Granny May's flower shop, the rich smell of vibrant blooms embraced them. Granny May's smile was warm, radiating kindness. "Well, if it isn't my two favorite bakers. What's the news?" Sarah explained the bake-off, her voice trembling with hope as she detailed their community cookbook idea. Granny May's eyes sparkled with interest. "I have just the recipe. My late husband used to make the best lemon scones. I think it's time to share it." The joy that bubbled within Sarah began to overflow like the batter they mixed in the kitchen. They made their way through town, gathering stories and recipes from their neighbors, from the sweet widow down the block to the friendly firefighter at the station. Every recipe came with warmth and laughter, weaving a rich tapestry of shared history. As evening approached, Sarah and Emma returned home, arms laden with handwritten recipes and memories. The kitchen felt alive, the joyful chaos transforming into a sanctuary. They sat down to sort through the collected recipes, moving from handwritten notes to the laughter their friends shared through food. But as Sarah glanced at the clock, the reality struck. The bake-off was just days away, and she couldn't shake the creeping fear inside her. All the smiles and community stories felt fragile against the hard truth facing her. That night, after tucking Emma into bed, Sarah stood by the window, staring at the quiet street outside. She clutched her heart, wondering if all their hard work would be enough. Could one event really spark a transformation? Could each cookie and recipe bind the townspeople together in a significant way? Lost in thought, she barely noticed the soft chime of the doorbell pulling her back. Fumbling with her robe, she opened the door to find Jake on her doorstep. He looked worried, his brow creased. "Sarah, I hope I'm not interrupting, but I brought some things to help with the bake-off. We need to talk. His words hung in the air like an unfinished recipe. Sarah could feel her heart racing, a mix of anticipation and anxiety coursing through her veins. What could he possibly have to say that could change the game now? As they stepped inside, the chime of the door echoed in the back of her mind. Would this be the support she needed, or would it lead to further complications? The stakes were high. With the bake-off just days away, Sarah couldn't shake the looming question. What crucial piece of information could Jake drop that would alter everything? The living room felt charged with an unspoken energy as Sarah led Jake to the kitchen. The scent of vanilla and chocolate still lingered in the air, remnants of their baking day. Jake took a deep breath, looking around the space that brimmed with laughter and hope. His expression softened. Sarah, I've been thinking about the bake-off, he began, searching for the right words. It's not just a competition, is it? It's about bringing everyone together. But there's something you need to know. His tone shifted, and the subtle seriousness in his voice made her stomach twist. What is it? She prompted, anxiety creeping in. He looked away for a moment, as though collecting his thoughts. You remember when you first shared your idea for the cookbook? I was skeptical at first, but then I saw how passionate you and Emma are. It inspired me. The warmth of his words felt good, but Sarah could sense they were prelude to something heavier. Jake, just tell me, she urged, hoping to cut through the tension. He stepped closer. The kitchen dimly lit except for the soft gleam of the overhead light. The truth is, I've dealt with doubts, fears especially about my own role in this town. I've spent years he trailed off, shaking his head. I realized that this bake-off is my shot to reconnect, to help in whatever way I can. But I don't want to wait until the last minute to step in. A flicker of hope ignited in Sarah. Could he be the support she needed? Jake continued. I've been reaching out to some people. I know a few local businesses who were on the fence about participating. They're ready to pitch in if you want them to. I can help coordinate everything, even the setup. Taken aback, Sarah felt a rush of gratitude. You would do that for us? I don't know what to say. Just say yes, he smiled, the corners of his mouth lifting ever so slightly. And there's more. I have an idea for an event during the bake-off. Something to really get people involved. Curiosity swelled in her. What is it? A bake sale alongside the competition. We could have booths, local vendors. It would draw more people in, make it feel like a real celebration of the community. Excitement bubbled within Sarah. The thought of a bigger event, of more connections, made her heart race. That's brilliant. But can we pull it off in just a few days? Absolutely. I've seen how much you can do when you put your heart into it. We can do this together. There was a confidence in his voice that wrapped around her like a warm blanket as they worked through the details: who to call, how to set up the booths. Even finding a local band to play, Sarah felt her earlier fears start to lift. She glanced at Jake and saw the determination in his eyes, which kindled a fire within her too. The bake-off was transforming in front of her. Yet, just as hope began to solidify, an unease bubbled beneath the surface. Jake was opening up, putting himself on the line, risking his reputation in a town that had seen its share of whispers. What if things didn't go as planned? What if she let him down? I really appreciate this, Sarah said softly, her voice filled with emotion. But what if don't think about what's going wrong? Focus on what we can do right, he interrupted. It's time for this town to come together, and you're the heart of it. We all need this. And maybe you and I need this too. The weight of his words hung thick between them, a connection forming in the shared anticipation of both the bake-off and something more personal. As the evening drew to a close, a sense of excitement filled the room. Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that this bake-off was about to become much bigger than she had ever imagined, shaping lives in ways she wasn't ready for. But just as she was about to ask Jake about what else he envisioned, the doorbell rang again, interrupting the moment. More surprises? She mused, her heart racing as she glanced at Jake, wondering who else might come knocking on their door to shape the event and their lives into something she couldn't yet comprehend. Would this night solidify their commitment to the town, or tear at the fabric of their budding partnership. As Sarah opened the door, a whirlwind of joy burst forth. It was the townsfolk, all bearing dishes of their favorite recipes. They arrived with bright smiles, ready to contribute to the upcoming bake-off. "We heard about your plans. We couldn't let you do this alone," shouted Mrs. Davis, her arms full of warm cookies. Tears welled in Sarah's eyes. This was the very heart of Maple Grove, beating stronger than ever. The community was rallying, ready to lift her up and breathe new life into the bakery. Come in, she exclaimed, ushering them inside, the once quiet kitchen filling with laughter and excitement. Jake stood at her side, his eyes wide with surprise and admiration, watching the connections weave their way back together. Together, they planned a swirl of voices, sharing ideas, tossing in recipes, building something that was profoundly bigger than any individual could imagine. The bake-off was no longer just an event. It was becoming a celebration, an opportunity to connect the past and the present, to share their shared love through food. As the days sprinted by, the preparation felt like a dance. Excitement wafted through the air like freshly baked bread, filling them with hopes for success. Neighbors dropped by to lend a helping hand, transforming the task into a mosaic of faces and flavors. Each cookie rolled, each cake frosted, crafted out of cherished memories and rising hopes. But beneath the surface, anxiety still simmered. Only days away from the bake-off, Sarah wondered if this surge of energy could withstand the scrutiny of the councilman. The lingering threat of his disapproval haunted her thoughts. What if they didn't draw enough attention? One evening, as she and Emma packaged the last batch of cookies, Sarah looked down at her daughter. "Sweetheart, what's your favorite part about all this?" Emma thought for a moment, her eyes shining. "I love how everyone's working together. It feels like love, just like what Mr. Thompson always says about baking." That sentiment echoed in Sarah's heart. Love, how simple yet profound. Could love really save the bakery? Could it bind them all together in more ways than just through shared recipes? Finally, the day of the bake-off dawned. Golden sunlight filtered through the clouds, promising warmth and hope. Sarah stood in front of the bustling community hall, her heart pounding as the townsfolk buzzed around her. Setting up, she glanced at Emma, who was spinning in circles, her apron flaring like a twinkling star. "Are you ready, Mom?" Emma asked, her face aglow with excitement. Sarah knelt down, embracing her treasure. "I have never been more ready. Let us show them what Maple Grove can do." As the bake-off began, the crowd spilled in, laughter ringing like music. Booths were filled with sweet delights, decorated with hand-drawn signs that told stories of long-gone loved ones and future dreams. Sarah felt the weight of 1,000 stories resting on her shoulders. Then, just as they began selling the first batch, the councilman arrived. His presence felt like a shadow, chilling her spine. But this time, the townsfolk stood behind her, united. With confidence glowing in her heart, Sarah met his gaze. "Welcome. Have you tried our blueberry muffins? They're made from Mr. Thompson's original recipe." The councilman observed the bustle, eyes narrowing, studying the community in its vibrant essence. Laughter bounced off the walls, and as Sarah explained every layer of their efforts from the cookbook to the connection, the atmosphere began to shift. Doubt and skepticism melted away like butter in a warm pan. A warmth spread through the hall, picking up the momentum of community spirit. As the bake-off unfolded, the townsfolk rallied, cheering each other on. Children danced and giggled, parents proudly displayed their creations, and the bond within Maple Grove blossomed. The moment of tense anticipation melted away into joy, and Sarah felt a tide of relief wash over her. Would the councilman be persuaded? At the end of the day, after the last cookie was sold and the last cheer echoed, the community stood in a circle, hand in hand. With glowing faces reflecting shared laughter, Sarah stepped forward, feeling the 9 circles of energy pulsing around her. "The love we share in our town has the power to revive dreams," she declared, voice steady and radiant. "Together, we've not only supported a bakery but each other. This is not the end. It's just the beginning." A round of applause erupted, echoing through the hall, and the councilman looked on. A hint of astonishment registered on his face. Later that evening, Sarah received a message that made her heart leap. The councilman had approved their proposal. "We'll help you revitalize the bakery." It read, a panorama of hope stretching ahead. Emma, still buzzing with excitement, threw her arms around Sarah. "I knew we could do it, Mom. I knew it." "Yes, sweetheart," Sarah exclaimed, her heart swelling. "This is just the beginning of many new memories to come." And as they hugged, Sarah looked beyond the walls of the bakery, past Maple Grove, to a horizon filled with hope. Together, they had ignited a spark, and nothing, not even doubt, could smother this fire. This was a community reborn, and Sarah was exactly where she needed to be, at the heart of it, dancing with joy. The fingers of twilight stretched across the sky as Maple Grove settled into a night filled with dreams. Now, dear friends, if you felt the love in this ending, you need to subscribe now. This is not just a request. It's a demand. Click that bell to catch every exclusive story that's coming next. Leave a like right now because your support fuels us. Trust me, every click matters. And comment below with your reactions what inspired you most in this journey. Lastly, share this story with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to spread the love. Only true fans understand how vital it is to support this community.